Hey everybody, Dan Schinder here on Drum Talk TV with my guest today, Marco Minneman. Marco, thank you so much for joining us, especially during the holiday season. Appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. How are you?
I am very well. How are you? Thank you so much for the interview.
Yeah, thank you. There's so much to talk about with you. We can do 6 interviews, and you're welcome to come on anytime you want. But I'd like to focus today, we'll of course talk about drumming and geek out on some gear, but I'd like to talk about the Aristocrats and hopefully enlighten the few people that have been under a rock that might not be aware of what you're doing. I'd like to talk to you.
Myself.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you about that. And my first question is, and some of you watching may be familiar with this, some of you may not. I love the story of how the band almost sort of accidentally came together back in 2011. 3 of you had a gig booked, the guitar player kind of fell out at the last minute, and then Guthrie came on board, and it was like instant electricity. I'd like you to kind of describe that and also address the topic of, do you think that sometimes bands personnel are sort of like forced and the chemistry's not there? And I mean even from a garage band level all the way up to, A-list artists. What's your take on that, given your experience with the Aristocrats and how it came together?
Well, I think there is a certain magic sometimes happening, right? I mean, there's things that there's a reason why bands happened, like Led Zeppelin, Queen, or the Police. When you break them down into their single elements, they were completely different than putting them all together and creating one bigger element.
Right.
And it's sometimes strange, to kind of see how that works, because Brian and I, for example, from the Aristocrats, we play together in different formations, and it was always good. And like you actually correctly pointed out, sometimes it's like a little bit like a forced environment, like something where you go like, oh, we have a gig. Yeah, let's do it. Let's see, who's available and have fun. That's
right.
Sometimes how that happens. And honestly, that sort of actually happened together with Guthrie then as well, at first, because we needed a guitar player or we needed to cancel the show.
Right.
And Guthrie was available, and, we started rehearsing, and immediately there was something in the air. It was like there was something special. And, that is kind of a thing you can't really describe. And it goes beyond the musicality. I think it's also like on a personal level.
Right.
The music that we all like, that we want to pursue, and the kind of, it automatically somehow translates into the feel, I guess, that you kind of project later on stage.
Yeah,
or
absolutely.
on the recordings. And so yeah, there you go. That's pretty much my take on it. And it's sometimes difficult to describe, but
yeah,
I guess it worked, and I'm very happy about it.
Yeah, and you used some great examples when you mentioned Led Zeppelin, Queen, the Police, bands that didn't really, quote, break up or get replacement players. I mean, Queen, of course, has gone on in one form or another after Freddie, but in essence, those are 3 bands with immense longevity that never went through the revolving door of different players. Yes. And sometimes I think we could all agree that on paper a super group or any group of musicians might look good because of their styles seem to mesh, but if the personal, like you say, if the personal chemistry's not there, how are you supposed to maximize your creativity and let alone live together on the road? It's a very important factor that I think younger artists might take for granted without that experience behind them.
Yeah. Well, the thing, first of all, that I'd like to add is, when you're a solo artist and you write good songs, there's nothing against that, and it may work. And even if there's different formations, and you come up with something great, that's all wonderful. As a band, though, you sort of appear as a family. It's like almost like and the fans identify themselves with that family. They come to see that special, formation of people. And I'm so happy you pointed it out, because it was like my take always on that. There's
cool.
First of all, the revolving door bands, and the bands that are more, let's put it that way. A lot of times in the jazz world or more the muso world, it doesn't really matter, people kind of, mingle with each other and do things, and, lots of great albums have been put out that way as well. But as a band thing, you can see, how much the fans appreciate it when, for example, Def Leppard when Rick Allen lost his arm, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You know, there would have been a lot of moments or bands, you know, that would have said like, oh, you know, I'm so sorry to hear that, but you gotta understand, we gotta move on, you know.
Yeah.
What they did was like great. They said like, no, you're not gonna leave. You know, we are gonna work through all this kind of thing. We built you a drum kit. You know, so this is how that really should roll, isn't it? Or when Adrian Smith once quit from Iron Maiden, instead of getting a replacement guitar player, they got his guitar tech filling in. And when Adrian wanted to come back, they didn't kick out the guitar player, his guitar tech. They all of a sudden had 3 guitar players. So it kind of, you know, it appeared like more like as a family kind of, you know, event. And it's cool, you know, that most of these bands, you know, that we just mentioned rolled exactly that way. Like it being irreplaceable, and I'm so happy that Led Zeppelin. And I told this actually to Jason Bonham when I saw him actually once.
Who's that?
We had a signing at Zildjian together, and I told him that, you know, no one else could have filled, you know, the spot of John Bonham. I'm so glad that you did it, and he was like very happy and
that's cool. That's really cool. I think another great example of the whole developing together as a unit would be Rush. And of course, when Neil unfortunately lost his daughter, lost his wife, Alex has, you know, said at the time, you know, I just don't even care to go on. And, you know, they took 5 years and Neil got himself back together. But aside from that whole aspect, when you look at how they've developed and explored musically and stayed on the same page and kind of grew together, I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned from actually being like a band and a family and a unit, if you will.
And that's what a lot of people, I think, you know, don't understand. And it's a good example because Rush is completely one of these bands, you know, that I never kind of, let's say, like, you know, put in the same kind of, well, I don't want to mention other bands, but like it's not a shredder band in my opinion. It's not like the typical prog band, or it's not like a typical rock band.
Right.
Or, well, maybe it is a rock band. To me, it's like a great rock band, you know, with players that are great, with good songs, you know, and that is a great example. You know, the way they are having fun on stage, you know, the way they project it.
Yeah.
You know, there's like so much meaning to it, you know. And if you listen to especially albums like Grace Under Pressure, like songs like Distant Early Warning, those are actually beautiful songs and great lyrics too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They don't deal with Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. It's like
yeah, it's not all love stories either. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Hey, what I want to do right now is we're going to drop in a little montage of some videos to give everybody just a little short taste of the new project, Culture Clash, and then we'll talk a little about it. Is that okay?
Go on with it.
Great. Check this out, everybody. This music is absolutely refreshing. Check it out. Great music, and to me, Marco, that is really refreshing. I mean, I'm certainly not a muso, but I've always admired, you know, me growing up and playing drums, I always learned old ELP, Yes, Genesis, stuff like that. What's interesting about this project is that, as it's been mentioned, the bedrock of it is that it's rock music, but I hear like these little flashes and elements of Return to Forever, old Alan Holdsworth music, Montevideo Orchestra. Is that just part of your guys' natural chemistry? Is any of it conscious? I mean, it blows my mind that those styles can still be relevant today, and I'm so glad that you guys are sort of carrying the legacy of those styles of music on while still sounding fresh and new and your own sound.
Oh, thank you, first of all. The thing is, which is kind of really funny, all these bands you just mentioned were actually, as much as I like all of this, never really bands I really listened to and grew up with. Like I said, I grew up more listening to Frank Zappa's music, and like, Zeppelin, Queen, even Kraftwerk, some electronic stuff to kind of put in. But I was never really, that much into the whole fusion or jazz scene. I mean, of course, I like, Miles Davis's music, or Alan Holdsworth is of course great, and I played with a lot of artists, from that area, and all,
Yeah, Adrian Belew. I mean, there's one right there.
Great, yeah. Fantastic, absolutely. But yeah, I had I pretty much grew up listening to music in the late 70s and then the 80s and 90s onwards. So, I caught a lot of the metal phase as well and things. But I guess, this makes it kind of a bit cool or special, or kind of has like a little vibrant, for the Aristocrats, because I always try to put it into the band into different directions or different zones that we haven't explored. That's why I kind of wrote songs like Desert Tornado, or like The Dance of the Aristocrats, or Oh No, to kind of see like, where can we go with this? How can we surprise us, like ourselves and the people out there?
Right.
That to me is like always so much fun, just to explore. And and on the other hand, of course, we're a trio and an instrumental trio. So yeah, a lot of times you get like the muso audiences, where you just play your songs and you think, and you see a lot, like some people, and bless them, they really enjoy the music and they compliment the songs, which I really, really, really find very important, because this is why I write music. And then you have like, of course, the people that just are waiting in front of the stage, looking at the fretboards, or looking, what we do in the drums or in the instruments, and go like, oh damn, did you see that? And kind of go,
totally geeking out on the technicalities of it all. Yeah.
It's kind of funny, but seriously, that was never my intent, to do that, to kind of, really being projected that way. But if you're an instrumental trio, it automatically happens. And rightfully so, because, you're missing a singer, you have to kind of be, somehow virtuous on the instrument.
Yeah, it's got to be compelling.
It's fun, of course.
Yeah. We'll get back to the Aristocrats in a moment. That whole discussion sort of sparks a question in my mind, so I have to believe other people are thinking this. Given that your biggest influences come from the classic rock genre, what was it, Marco, that was the sort of the spark or the pivoting point that enabled you to adapt your drumming and move it over here to this direction to be able to play the fusion and stuff like that? Because obviously, if you ask most drummers, who's your favorite drummer, and if it's John Bonham and a lot of stuff like that, you don't think of them playing music anywhere near where Return to Forever gets mentioned. Yeah. So what was it that helped you adapt and open up your horizons, let's put it that way, for lack of other words?
Right. Well, first of all, when I started with music, I played organ at first, like piano and organ. And then I kind of, went into picking up a guitar. So I was always interested in writing music. And when I then picked up the drums, it was not so much listening to other drummers. It was literally like, what can I do with the instrument?
Yeah.
Where can I go with it? Why is there only one hi-hat over here? Why can't I have another one and learn to play it with my right foot over here?
Right.
And so that's when I came up writing these books, with the independence thing. I, first of all, even didn't want to write them. That was just my concept. And then later on, kind of, people asked me, or companies going like, oh my goodness, you should release that. And I was like, really? Okay. It was like literally just always a side project. It's like, oh, if people kind of really like what I do, why not,
Right.
And it's kind of a cool thing, but I think, musically, who influenced me or who broadened my universe was definitely Frank Zappa. Yeah. Because what happened here in the, when I was like a young teenager, like, in the early 80s, mid 80s then, everything, that I wanted to listen to was more kind of metal, rock music, but also something like really that was kind of not rebellious, but like, just I loved like the raw energy. However, I liked the technical aspects of all these bands, that were either way from the prog era or from the jazz era. So, but in the 80s, you had like either way dirty rock, which I found cool.
Yeah.
Or you had like, if you wanted to kind of, learn really kind of complex music or more like elaborate kind of stuff, in that direction, or, filigree things, you had to listen to the GRP releases, something like Chick Corea's Electric Band or something.
Yeah.
So me being like a long-haired metal dude, I was like always going like, I like that hardcore record, but why can't they do anything with like a 15/16 or with something like that? But then, I listened to all these other releases from GRP or something. I thought like, yeah, they can play, but it sounds kind of lame. It sounds like kind of boring to me because I'm more kind of that guy right now.
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, I heard Frank Zappa's music. And I thought like, oh my goodness, all right, so...
What was it, Marco? What was it that you first heard that did that for you? What was the first thing you heard that got your attention?
You mean of Zappa's music?
Yeah. The
first albums, actually, strangely enough, I bought actually 2 CDs for a friend because he said like, hey, can you get me something if you're going downtown, from Frank Zappa? I was like, yeah, sure, And then I checked it out myself. And what I bought was Jazz from Hell.
Right.
Which is such a weird album to get into in the first place.
Right.
It's the first album from Zappa. But then also, You Are What You Is and Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch.
Yeah.
And The Man from Utopia. So these were the first albums. And I was like, first of all, putting on Jazz from Hell and thought like, what is that? In a very positive way, or actually puzzled way, because I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
And then I listened further, and all of a sudden there was like the rock band album from here, or You Are What You Is, and then Ship Arriving Too Late, and all these great, really elaborate compositions, that had like orchestral features, but also like really out lyrics, and and I thought like, whoa, this is so cool. Joe's Garage, for example.
Yeah.
And man, and I ate all that stuff up, and then I kind of bought every album. And
yeah.
Like, really, really cool, and I think it's so important, and I want to kind of say that I'm when I write music, or when you ask me also the drum question about like technical aspects or how you approach kind of things, to me, it's when I write, it's so important that I come up with something that sounds fresh to my ears, something that is new, something, like I said, that kind of, would surprise ourselves, all the people. Just that these are things that make me personally happy. I don't like when I play something and start kind of a riff, that sounds like something else, I lose it. Then I think like, oh, that reminds me of this.
Right.
But if there's something completely coming out of the blue and it sounds really interesting or weird, and I thought like, oh, okay, let's put this in front of the people, let's see how they react. And it's so funny to see how people would kind of, then on Facebook, go like, what did he do there? What is that?
Yeah.
That song. And some people will totally get it. They will go like, oh, this is awesome, this is really fantastic, or, and then, other people will go like, what have I just heard there?
Yeah, exactly.
But these are reactions I really like because, here's the thing, once, you're thinking out of the box, or once something is out of the box, I think, regularly the human brain, or a lot of times, things like, I can't compare this, what the hell? What am I going to do with that? And some people dare to explore and think like, hang on, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm really going for,
Yeah, I get it.
I like that.
Yeah, Apostrophe was my first exposure to Mr. Zappa's music.
Oh, yeah.
And so and I know this is like picking a favorite child. It's impossible to do, but I got to ask the question. Who is your absolute favorite Zappa drummer? He's had so many great drummers. Who's the first person that comes to your mind when I ask that?
Oh, no, that is, of course, a difficult question because I have to kind of, point, but I have to point it out in the following ways, I guess. First of all, well, when I got introduced to Zappa, it was like Vinny and Chad. Okay, let's put it that way. I know all of the drummers that I'm just mentioning, and I have a huge heart and for all of these guys for specific reasons. First of all, of course, Terry, I want to mention him because he really brought this kind of rock sound, to the Zappa band, and just the way his energy and his dynamics kind of work.
Right.
Well, very nice, I really enjoyed that a lot, Then Vinny, of course, who was the guy who offered a lot of really crazy stuff, that wasn't heard before. Really, like, stuff on Joe's Garage, was like, so daring and cool and quirky and funny, but also groovy and just great, you know. And then Chad, I have to mention because everything he plays is very tasteful, and he really, you know, played, you know, especially on the albums Make a Jazz Noise Here or Best Band You Ever Heard in Your Life. You can hear, like, you know, the versions, you know, of the songs are, like, you know, really, really, really clean and nicely executed. I guess, you know, that probably Frank really liked that a lot because, you know, that's what he probably wanted, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think, you know, there was a reason why Frank picked all of these drummers, you know. So these are the drummers that come to mind immediately. And I have to mention exactly these drummers because those were the first albums I heard with them on it. There's, of course, like, you know, a lot of other drummers, you know, I didn't mention, like my friend Chester Thompson. He's a lovely guy, great player, you know, good feel, you know, and all the other guys, of course, you know, too, you know, there's a reason why they were in the band. But yeah, the first three I have to mention because that was my first access, and of course, you know, that somehow sticks with me.
That's cool. Thank you for dipping into that. Let's go back to the Aristocrats and tell us, what do you get out of that music and that experience that's different from all your other projects? You know, it's kind of like, why the Aristocrats? Some of it's obvious. It's great music. It's great fun. But what's unique about it for you?
Yeah. Well, sometimes I ask it myself, huh? Well, you know, it's a funny thing because I guess, you know, I like a lot of musical activity around me. I can't do anything else, so I have to kind of do music, I guess. And so I kind of, you know, have a few things, you know, that are kind of dear to me that I kind of, you know, keep going. And, well, of course, first of all the music I personally, you know, like and make, you know, ends up on my solo albums. And then also an album I did last year, which is called LMR, was, I think, a very, very cool thing that happened. And, and the Aristocrats, you know, which is a trio effort. What we do is, like, each of us, you know, writes literally the same amount of songs to bring in for one record. So, you know, mostly 9 songs, and then each of us 3, you know, and then we produce them ourselves as well. So it's kind of, that's a different take again.
Yeah.
And then, then I have, like, you know, the more, let's put, like, the commercial bands I play with, where you have, like, you know, more easy, I don't want to say easy listening, but more accessible music, and more commercially projected music, like, you know, Steven Wilson, for example, you know, or Joe Satriani, who's actually fantastic and did so much for the guitar world, especially, you know, and he's a very good example as well to kind of, you know, write, like, really catchy and cool stuff with being elaborate, but kind of also catchy at the same time, and also a very nice human being. So, but these things, I kind of, you know, always kind of sort of accommodate, you know. This is like, you know, something like a completely crazy range where they can do whatever you want to, you know, then like more, you know, the instrumental trio thing and more the, I say, commercial side, you know.
Right. No, that's cool. What have you guys got planned? Are you going on tour this year after February?
The Aristocrats, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, we will go on tour. Like in January, first of all, we're gonna record the new Joe Satriani album, Brian and I. Then in February, the new Steven Wilson album is going to get released, where Guthrie and I are featured, as well. And then we have a few shows with the Aristocrats, and we'll record our new album.
Oh.
And which is kind of interesting because our album will be released around September.
Okay.
Now, as will kind of be Joe's album, we still have to kind of, you know, figure out, you know, how we kind of schedule this, that it's not too close together. Maybe we kind of keep like 2 months apart or something.
Yeah.
From that. But with the Aristocrats, we also have like a live DVD CD coming out right now that will be released in January.
Right.
So, and after February, we will tour. And hang on, first of all, it's Steven Wilson. Now I have to kind of, you know, make sure that I'm not talking bullshit. Okay, March will be Steven Wilson tour until May, and from June on, Aristocrats World will start, where we will first play some festivals and shows in Europe, and then move on and tour the States again and everything. Yeah, that's pretty much the layout.
That's great. nice busy year. It's great that you've got all that going. You mentioned obviously that a lot of people being introduced to you that might not be familiar with your musicality are learning now that you are a multi-instrumentalist. You mentioned that you started on keys when you were young, went to guitar, you play drums. What is the one instrument that's nearest and dearest to your heart?
Oh, yeah,
and try not to piss off all the drummers.
No. That's difficult to say as well, because it's, to me, like, the global form is, again, like the global word would be music, and and each instrument has like different features. I would say, like, I would be most virtuous on the drums, definitely.
Yeah.
And I kind of, here's a funny thing. Even though I play many different instruments, and I like to kind of, play them, because everything you create has a soul with it. That's to me very important. Like, to me. And well, let's put it that way. The drums, to me, are still the essential instrument. If you're a multi-instrumentalist, I think the most important part are to be able to play drums well.
That's cool.
Because it's the foundation. It's like, the airport where everything takes off and lands.
Right.
It's basically, right? That's the pizza dough you have,
Yeah.
If that's like not solid, no good pizza.
And have you, that's a great analogy, have you also found in the same manner that your expertise with the drums and rhythms helps you possibly to be a better producer as well?
Oh, in regards to the drums and rhythms? Yes, you know what? I think, okay, let me put it that way. There's like many people that that are not able to read notation or don't know about odd meters or what a quintuplet is or anything like that.
Right.
To me, these are really, really, really important and essential parts. And now here's the funny thing. It's kind of almost contrary to like harmonic scales, or like, how you kind of, listen to harmony at all, because you can pretty much by ear create wonderful melodies, wonderful harmonies, and write great songs. But if you have no idea what kind of rhythm you play and how a 15/16 works, or a quintuplet, and then you're very limited.
Yeah.
You're just doing this kind of thing, just play what I feel and that's it. But I guess, like, the knowledge of rhythm is essential, is absolutely essential. So I would say absolutely yes to kind of, grab everything you get, and knowledge about rhythmic knowledge.
Yeah, I totally get that and agree, and I think that one way to express the importance of being able to read music, some people just aren't academic and they're not going to embrace that. Yeah. But I look at it like language. And you travel the world, we learn different languages, whether we're fluent or pick up different pieces. And obviously, if you know how to read and write a language, you can grasp how to speak it and express it and digest it much better. Music, I think, is the same way. It's just another language.
I think so too, because what you express later on with it, that can still be beautiful. I don't think it will hinder you that you are aware of, like, certain things to play. It's probably more likely that people who are unaware of that, will kind of go like, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
But still, you can create beauty with it, And if you, like I said, like, especially with drums, again, if you're a good musician, if you have a feel, you will create something that is beautiful anyhow,
Right.
But why not being aware of, how a 17/16 would be kind of able to work, and, or how quintuplet would work. I tell you what, like, so many people still write music and always kind of either way go like for 16th or 16 triplets or maybe 32 notes, And it's so cool, when somebody comes across and goes like, wow, look at this. A 9-tuplet or something, or like a 7-tuplet,
Right.
7-tuplet, sorry.
Yeah.
This is kind of a cool thing, how you can compose with it, or kind of, form layers with this kind of things. This is the beauty of it. And if you listen to great composers, especially like guys like Stravinsky or also Richie Sakamoto and all these people, they have to be aware of that, and they're just there and they know the language. Not to kind of, cause some technical damage there or something, go like, wow, look at us.
Yeah.
It's more like really in service to a great composition. There you go.
That's awesome. Before we go, let's talk real briefly about gear. And before I ask you about your drum gear, I don't have my glasses on. Is that a 7-string guitar?
This is an 8-string
It's
guitar.
an 8-string guitar. Cool. And
Yeah.
can you explain the tuning on that? Hopefully the drummers aren't tuning out, but I love stringed instruments. I play mandolin, 10-string guitar, classical, and I love different stringed instruments. I'm not any good at them.
Oh,
The
yeah,
drums
yeah,
are my
yeah.
thing. But I just think they're interesting. What's the tuning on that?
Well, you tune it actually basically like a regular guitar, you know. Actually, how I see it, first of all, this is like, you know, because a lot of people are kind of puzzled. This is like a beautiful guitar from Ola Strandberg from Sweden.
Uh-huh.
And he gave me one of these, which is I'm so happy about. And actually, a lot of people just, first of all, have it in their hands and have no idea what to do with it. And they go like, what am I going to do with this now? How am I going to play? Because, of course, you know, you think, you know, a lot of people think like, you know, from down to up or up to down. I was like, but I'm thinking actually the other way around. I'm really thinking about, okay, I play some chords over here.
Yeah.
And then kind of, you know, move it downwards. So it is actually a regular tuning. It starts with E here, right on the 3rd string.
Okay.
And then kind of goes up, you know, E, A, you know, and so on, D.
Uh-huh.
And but the 2 strings over here are more like a bass tuning. You can tune them like, you know, either way, you know, an open tuning, or do something that you can kind of, you know, cause like damage. So I think, you know, this one starts like with F sharp now.
Right. That's cool.
But so basically, kind of, you know, I would say like, first of all, ignore these 2 strings,
right,
and tune like your guitar regularly, like here, like an E or something.
Uh-huh.
And then you can kind of, you know, extend your scales with these 2 strings, and then play something mean. And it sounds beautiful because it's like really fat.
That's cool.
I really love that stuff. And it basically, yeah, I don't know, there's like, you know, a whole different range, you know, it opens up again.
That's cool. I'm going to drop in a picture of your kit, and then I'd like to go through some drum gear with you. Is that okay?
Very much.
Okay, here we go. Okay, so tell us about your gear. Tell us about your anything you want. Your sticks, cymbals, heads, hardware, actual drums. Give us the scoop.
Yes, well, let's see. My drum kit that I usually use has actually, the one at home has a 23-inch kick drum.
Oh, wow. What an odd size.
So I usually pick like 23 or 24. And 22 I have also upstairs in the other studio, which is a cherry wood drum kit, which sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the 3 bass drum sizes I would pick. Usually live, like, you know, for Joe Satriani, also with the Aristocrats, I would kind of go for the 24-inch kick. There's like something, I like the separation, you know. And, snare drum would be, I have a Noble & Cooley 14 by 7 maple. Then I also like the Ludwig Superphonics, either way, you know, the 14 by 5 or 14 by 6.
I've never heard of those. Are they any good?
And then what else? You know, let's see. Of course, DW has great snare drums too. I play, and then well, first of all, you know, I'm a DW endorser. Let me kind of get that straight.
Yeah. Yep.
And I use that usually like either way, you know, like the Cherrywood kit sounds just amazing, I have to say. Then the Jazz series sounds fantastic, and also the Maple Custom sounds great, you know. And so I have a gong drum on the left side, my view, which is actually either way 20 or 22.
Mm-hmm.
Then the toms go down in sizes 10, 12, then an 8-inch over there. Then I have a 16-inch floor tom and an 18-inch floor tom. The depth of the shells varies, you know. It's like, you know, sometimes I take what's available on the road, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like medium-sized shells, all right, you know. And so far, you know, for the drums, hang on, I have a second snare drum on the left side, which is usually like a 13 by 5.
Right.
And that's mostly like a maple snare, TW maple. Then cymbal-wise, on the left side, over that gong drum, there's like a 20-inch Constantinople.
Mm-hmm.
Those sound beautiful. Then moving over here, there is a 10-inch splash stacked with a little 8-inch bell or 6-inch bell.
Uh-huh.
Then on moving towards the right side from my view behind the drum set, there is a 16-inch or 17-inch Avitas, Zildjian, medium. Also stacked with a bell, 8-inch. It's a custom-made thing. And then actually ride cymbal-wise, well, I change these things up, you know. But I like to play, recently, actually, for that treats actually all kinds of styles very well, is a K custom.
Oh, cool.
Like the Brilliant Finish ones. They sound wonderful. 20-inch. Or, which I really like, is also like, it's called Special Custom Dry, I guess, or Custom Dry. Like a 20-inch. That's a cymbal that many people ask me about and go like, wow, what cymbal is that? So these are some of my favorite rides.
That's cool.
What else? And then,
can I ask you a question, Marco, about the custom dry? Is that a cymbal that has sort of more like an old style, darker jazz sound? Rather than the higher...
Not the ride cymbal. The ride cymbal is more like, it sounds actually very focused, but doesn't sound too long. It's like, you know, it kind of decays pretty quickly, which I like, you know, because I don't like, you know, really having like the washy sound all over the place.
Right.
That's why I place actually cymbals also fairly high. Not too high. People always think like, you know, when they see pictures taken, you know, somehow, you know, from the audience perspective, you know, automatically cymbals seem high. But actually, if you sit behind my drum set, the cymbals are, you know, fairly reachable. Well, okay, I'm a tall guy, I have long arms, all right, you know, but, you know, and, you know, I make sure that they're at a pretty good altitude, so to speak, to kind of not bleed into the other microphones too.
Cool.
And this is how I pick cymbals as well, you know, mainly kind of, you know, thin or medium thin cymbals, you know, that sound warm, open up nicely, but also don't wash for too long, you know. And, okay, so that was the right side, you know, then the right cymbal. Then, you know, moving on over there is an 18-inch Constantinople as well, medium crash. And then sometimes I use a K19 China, sometimes, and sometimes I just skip that one. Hi-hat wise, I have two hi-hats I usually play, which is like a 14-inch, either way, vintage hi-hat, which sounds fantastic. The Zildjian vintage is over on the left side, and then a regular K hi-hat on the right side, or a Vitas 14-inch. You know, usually with Joe, for example, or with the Aristocrats, I use like as my main hi-hat, like just a 14-inch Vitas and the 14-inch K. So that is pretty much the sound of my drum set I like. Drum heads I would use for the toms, the G2s clear.
Right.
It's again, like, you know, they kind of, well, you know, they kind of last for a while, and they still sound, you know, very open, but also have like a certain richness to it, you know. Like the bottom hats would be a regular G1. Then on the snare drum, I either way use the power reverse center or the ST. I like the ST.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's the one, I guess. For kick drums, mostly actually an EMAT, like the you know, the Evans EMATs, you know. And then I kind of, you know, take the foam out and have it kind of, you know, pretty much foamless, you know. But then put like, you know, like a little pillow inside the kick drum, and that should kind of do it. And then I tune them, you know. I kind of hardly put like, you know, any duct tape or anything on it. I'm not really the duct tape kind of guy.
How about sticks? What sticks are you using? Do you use wood or nylon tip?
Wood.
Okay.
I have actually two signature models out, which is the 721 and the 721B. And they are hickory sticks, and I designed them actually the way with like a wooden tip, which kind of, you know, kind of bends a little bit towards the end, you know. So the reason is like, you know, why I don't have a perfectly round tip. I didn't like that because when the tip is too round, it dents your drum heads immediately. Now, if it's too flat, it sounds a bit washy on the right cymbal. So I kind of, you know, kept it kind of, you know, flat towards the end, so you have like really crisp, dry right cymbal sound, very focused. But on the toms, you know, you still have, you know, like this little bit kind of the warmth and the depth, and you don't make too much dents. Actually, many dents in it. So that's, to me, that was essential. And the weight actually also, well, I guess it's nicely balanced. I use mostly the finger control technique and the Muller control, the Muller technique as well. So both of these. And so yeah, it's kind of funny. It took a while to really design that stick because, you know, you gotta kind of move forth and back, you know, check the weight, you know, check the balance, you know, and. Yeah, but I think
cool.
We got there, and check it out for yourself.
Great, definitely, I will, for sure. thanks for taking us through your gear. I have one last question that has nothing to do with music. We always like to ask a fun fact question. So here's the Marco Minneman Fun Fact question. You're so busy with music, producing, composing, you play in all these different bands. When you're the 3 days out of the year that you're not doing any music, how do you like to spend your time, Marco?
That's a great question, because I think, even when I'm on the road, and I always take time to explore the cities I'm in. I love going out. I'm never, and see, I have a house which is on the lake, with mountains there. I just like nature, and it's like not in Los Angeles, and it's not in one of those bigger cities, San Diego. I moved completely kind of, out in the sticks, It's not too far away from, popular cities, but it's nice actually out in, in nature. So I can drive up and explore, like, the mountains, or hang on the lake and kind of, see beautiful things. That to me is very essential, to life and to the universe, I really walk, through this world, with open eyes, and kind of, I love exploring.
That's great. I think travel, when you can see and you travel, a lot of times on tour, you're on the bus, off the bus, at the venue, back on the bus, on the road. But when you can experience and soak up the different cultures, the food, the language, and the architecture and all that, there's almost nothing like that. Here's a question for you, because we live in Las Vegas. We're based in Vegas. When you come out to Vegas, are you familiar with the parts of Vegas that most people don't know about, that's away from the casinos, like Red Rock Canyon and Mount Charles? Oh, great, now everybody's going to go there. But are you familiar with those areas, and Valley of Fire and all that stuff?
I am, actually, and I come to Vegas actually quite a bit, because I have friends here, and funnily enough, I was thinking about maybe even investing into buying a condo somewhere at the Signature MGMs or something, just as a second kind of thing, and renting it out maybe to people, and as an investment thing. And if I want to go there, I'll just hang there and have this apartment. Because I like the city, because there's something about it. It's, first of all, only a 3-hour ride away from where I am. Right. And you can especially kind of, obviously, there's great restaurants. I love good food. I love good food, so I love exploring that as well. But nature actually in this whole part is actually very beautiful as well, and I'm very well aware, of all these places. And that's great. I remember my parents already took me there when I was like 17, and that's cool. First big trip, and they love traveling, and so we saw all those great places like Grand Canyon, of course, which is also not too far from Las Vegas. Right. Well, when you come out, we'll have to do that together. We'll have to go on a hike at Red Rock Canyon or something. That'd be fun. Yes, sounds like an excellent plan. Would love that. Marco, thanks so much for joining us. And everybody, right there on your screen is the website where you can check out the Aristocrats. As this comes out in January 2015, you can order the DVD, you can pre-order. If you're watching this after it's out, just go ahead and click buy now. This is fantastic music by 3 great musicians, great guys. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on to Drum Talk TV. Thank you. Thanks. Bye, everybody. Thanks for joining me here and Marco on DrumTalkTV.com. See you soon.